This week on MasterChef was an excellent challenge. The challenge this week was to use eggs. Aldo made the dish called Filoscio, which is a super old school Italian dish. Now in his recipe, he cuts up a pork cutlet. But instead of cutting up a pork cutlet, I'm going to use the scraps that we had from his last dish that I recreated. And this is going to bring extra flavour and fat to that the sauce really needs. Alright, to start, you're just going to get a pot. Add a glug of olive oil, and then you're going to add your pork straight in, and we'll just get that cooking over a medium-high heat, just till this fat starts to render out of the pork. Okay, there's a bubbling away here. If you're using scraps like bones and things like I am, make sure you give them a flip, just so nothing burns on the bottom of the pot. Okay, after you got some good browning and your fat's starting to render out the pork, I've got some garlic and onion here. Now my onions are quite small, and I'm using red onions because they're much better than brown onions. But I've got 2 of them there, just chopped in half, as I said, because they're quite small. And I've got 1 garlic clove that I've just crushed and peeled. And that's going to go in. And then we'll cook this off for another 10 minutes or so. Okay, as you can see here, starting to get some good browning on my onions. And the biggest thing here is nothing's burning to the bottom of the pot. Because if you start burning things to the bottom of the pot, that nasty flavour is going to permeate through your sauce, and nobody wants that. I'm going to go ahead and add my passata. And also, I'm just going to rinse out the box and add some water in with that. So once we got that in, we're going to bring this up to a boil, and then we're going to reduce it to a simmer, and then let that simmer for about 10 minutes. Okay, as you see, my sauce is starting to boil. I've just reduced the heat a little bit. I'm going to add parmesan rind, a couple of good cracks of pepper, and we'll go in with some salt. So we'll just give this a mix in. We'll reduce that down to the heat down to a simmer, and then we'll let that simmer away for about 10 minutes. Alright, as you can see, my sauce has been bubbling away for about 15-20 minutes. Now at this point, I'm going to add some fresh basil, and also got some stem in there. I'm just going to mix that in, and then we're going to keep letting this simmer away for about another 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, as you can see, my sauce is finished, and this ready to be strained into the pan here. I wish you could smell what I'm smelling here. This sauce smells absolutely amazing. Okay, so this is just simple enough. You just want to scoop it all out into a sieve. Make sure you use a spatula and get every last little piece of juice out of there. Because if you don't use all this sauce, you can put it in the fridge, and this will be absolutely amazing over any type of pasta you wish to make, or any other dish that you use a red sauce for. Once you get it in there, you just want to pass it all through. Okay, as you can see, I've got it all strained out into my pan here. Now I've already given it a taste, and the seasoning and everything in there is exactly on point where I needed it. It doesn't need to add anything else to it. But if yours needs to add, you know, you can put a little squeeze of lemon or some more salt and pepper in there, go right ahead, but for me, that is perfect. So we're going to make some breadcrumbs now. As you see, I just bought a piece of bread yesterday, and it was a little baguette like that. I just cut it straight in half, and now I've chopped it up into pieces and hard. So I'm just going to add them to my little food processor here. I probably won't get them all in at once, but we'll blend this up, and then once it's blended up, we'll add the rest, and then we'll get it into a nice fine crumb. Okay, as you see, I got my crumbs here, nice and fine. Put it into another bowl. Now I'm just going to add the milk. Going to leave a little bit behind. We'll just give that a little mix in, and we'll add the rest. And you want to do it in the 2 stages like that, just to make sure you get a nice, all the milk incorporated into all the crumb there. Okay, that looks good. Now we'll let this sit for about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and get on with the rest of it. Okay, as you see, I've got my eggs cracked into a bowl. Going to add some parsley, a few good cracks of black pepper. Going to go in some salt, maybe just a touch more, and go in with the parmesan and the bread. Alright, we're going to mix all this together, and then we'll let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes. Alright, I've got my oil heated up here. Now I'm going to add about 1/4 cup, or in my case, this ladle full. I'm just going to place that in the pan, Then we're going to fry it until it's golden and crispy on this side, and then we'll flip it over. Okay, once you've got it all nice and golden on one side, you just want to flip it over. Now with this much oil in the pan, I'm going to use 2 utensils so I don't splatter oil everywhere. I'll just flip it over. And we're just going to fry it briefly on this side, just for a few seconds, and then we're going to fold it in half as best we can, and then we're going to fry this until it's nice and golden and crispy. Now once you've got it folded in half and you've got one side crispened, I'm just going to flip it over. Now this time, here's another way of flipping it without splattering oil. You just get it, tilt all the oil to one side of the pan, flip it over, and then put it back in. Alright, once you've got it all nice and crispy on both sides, you just want to transfer it to a plate lined with paper towels and carry on cooking the rest. To plate up, I've just warmed the sauce slightly, and you're going to put the little, I would call them, they look like little omelettes, in the sauce. You just want to drain off a little bit, and then straight onto your plate. I'm going to put 2 on the plate. So here's the other one, in the sauce. And now you just want to top that with a little bit more sauce, a little bit of parsley, and a little bit more cheese. And you're ready to eat. Okay, before I eat, there's a couple of things I want to point out. So all the recipes for this MasterChef series that I'm doing on my channel is from 10 Play on the website. Now, sometimes the recipes on there, I'm not sure if the contestants themselves are writing these, because sometimes they're a little bit weird and they're kind of off. And a prime example is this one. The first attempt to get the batter came out to this. Now that's way too much bread. And it wasn't anywhere close to what the consistency needed to be. As you can see, it's quite firm. But that's completely fine, because with this, the ingredients are here are very, very similar to an Austrian dish called servefreshly, which is like a bread dumpling. So that's what I'm going to make out of this. And if you want to see how I finish that off, head over to my Instagram channel, Traditional But Not, and we'll post that on there how I finish this off. And also, I'm not going to lie, to not overcook these and to flip it, it took me a few goes. So just know when you do it, fry it good on one side, and then as soon as you flip it, don't wait too long to fold it in half, otherwise it completely overcooks and it just breaks in half. Just keep that in mind. Okay, I'm pretty excited to eat this, because I've tested it a little bit, and you know, the sauce and everything tastes absolutely amazing already. So let's go in. The sauce is so silky and smooth. I think this might be a new way that I make sauce. If you don't make the whole omelette bit to go with it, just make that sauce and put it through any type of pasta, or even just any time you need some sort of red sauce, because that is absolutely amazing. As for the egg itself, the bread soaks up the oil flavour and all the other things in it. It's so soft and velvety, even though we've crispened it, because it's softened up a little bit from the sauce, and it's just so luxurious. This is an absolutely amazing dish. Aldo, you did it again.